I have to say, it's completely, I'm out of these apps. This is, after a very long time.
Yes, I have noticed. I noticed even multiple times that you are not so active nowadays in this day and age.
Because I have started one of the small business. It's not like a business. It's like, you know, I told you that I come from southern part of Sri Lanka,
Mm.
where tourism industry is flourishing, blooming. And so I thought of investing in
Yes, and yeah, but the lot of the tourists come from India to Sri
yeah,
Lanka.
yeah. The majority of the tourists consist of Indians, and after that the Russians are
Right.
also in Sri Lanka.
Correct.
Yeah. So earlier it was about the British and the German people like that, but now the Indian population has, occupied that space.
Right. Yeah, so
I
I
think there
want
are
to
some.
ask.
There are some. I think uh, freedom. I mean, more freedom. I think there are some uh, about visa. I think Indians are free. I mean, somewhat free access. They
Right.
have, yeah.
True. Yes. I mean, the last year, the Sri Lankan government they decided to give the free visa to Indian those who want to visit the Sri Lanka. So that is why because when we visit to other countries like USA and UK, so we have to pay certain amount of the money for having the visa. But when we have the even the there's so many sites are there, Icelands are there in the Sri Lanka. So no, who is there that doesn't want to visit the Nepal, Sri Lanka, and of course Maldives and Bhutan. These are the such a beautiful countries in the
Hmm.
Southeast.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to know, right? Does the Indian government, apply the same theory? For example, if I want to visit India, I'm not sure. I don't know. Yeah, India is a big country with a huge economy, and I'm not aware of that, right? While Sri Lanka is providing free visa, is India providing free visa to Sri Lanka to other countries? Do you know
Yes,
about that?
yes, I know, I know. Basically, India provides, the free visa. Of course, the certain charges would be there because free. I mean, the Sri Lanka also doesn't, provide the wholeheartedly the free visa. We have to pay certain amount, fee. That's a different thing. But yes, India also provides the same thing to Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bhutan, the,
South
and the
Asian
Mal.
countries.
Yes, in the not all the Southeast Asian countries, but yes, some friendly countries. For example, in the Nepal, lot of the people of the Nepal, they are in Indian army. So
Hmm.
we have the strong, the
Indian
relations with
Army.
the.
So how does it
Yes,
happen? So
yes. I mean
I
that.
know you are bordering countries, and now, yeah. Once I had a conversation with the Nepali, and he said, you can both use the same money,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
And
Yes,
you don't need to,
Nep
I mean, access your country. They don't need to have a visa, separate visa.
right. I
Yeah.
mean Nepal and Bhutan. These are the two countries. I mean, their people don't need to any kind of the visa. They are totally free. They can come to India anytime because such a mutual understanding. I mean between two governments. And of course, the Nepalese people they come to India, and I just mentioned to you, and even you can search on the Google also. There is a one battalion in Indian Army that is the Gorkha Army. So most of the the soldier of that armies are from the Nepal, I mean northeast district of India.
But
That's
it's quite different to here, right? The people from two countries, how can they, right, serve two countries at the same time, where, it's about security, right? So there are lots of,
right.
top secrets shared by two countries, and so the real reliability is the problem, right? So
See,
once you started working to your government, right, just if I am right, if I was a Nepali soldier, right, so I have a lot of obligations, and I'm bound with that, right? I'm entitled to work with my government for the Nepali government. So how can I be a member of the other country?
right.
It's
Yes,
quite
like in the
complicated
first.
for me.
Yes, yes. Even for me, the first time when I got to know that Nepalese people can become the Indian soldier, I was totally surprised that how the people of other country, the citizen of other country can become the soldier of Indian army. But later on, I realized that during the, we when there was a war, against the British, and of course British, as you know that British rule over India, for the hundreds of years. So that time there was a Gorkha army, you know which supported, which assists to the British government. And over the period of time, our culture relations, because Lord Rama, uh, and I mean the goddess Sita. So she was born in the Nepal. So I mean the such a deeper. I don't think that there is only the two countries with which India has such a strong, deeper, profound understandings. First is the Bhutan. Even I mean the around the 50% of the Bhutan budget is managed by India. We give a lot of the B. I mean, B builds the infrastructures. Projects in there in the Bhutan. Bhutan case is very different because India provided security to the Bhutan when it was 2018 when there was skirmish between Bhutan army, and of course Bhutan doesn't have that much army, so India.
I
Uh,
think Bhutan is a
yes,
relatively very smaller country, is it?
yes, yes, very very small country, and it's a very peaceful nation, so totally peaceful. So Chinese army tries to attack over Doklam. It is very much prevalent in the Asia, the whole Asia, not just Asia, whole the world. When India had too much, you can see the uh, dispute, and we somehow we protect to I mean the Bhutan from the Chinese incursion. Yes, and I believe that somewhere I mean that with the Nepal also we have very good relations, but when there is political instability in in the Nepal, so our relations become they fractures somehow because of the political issues in the Nepal, because I mean, they have the political parties which are supported by the Chinese. So somewhere, last year, uh, there was, demand in India that India should stop, you can say recruitment of the Nepalese people in Indian army. But of
Mm.
course, this was the political issues also in India, and the Nepal Prime Minister that time was the KP Sharma Oli. I don't know if even he's right now also. So he also said that he would reconsider to send the Nepalese people to Indian army. So something like that. But uh, it's a political issues. But I think the mutual understanding between the people, it's like amazing. That
Mm.
is why we don't have any kind of mutual issues. Of course, when you have the two brothers, so you would have a little bit issues. It's a very much common.
Yeah. Yeah, so that means they have been recruited to serve the bordering areas,
Yes, and of course,
particularly,
not just
particularly, yeah.
yes, yes, and they have I mean, we have the different commands, which is totally filled with the Nepalese people, and the northeast part of the India. They generally deployment there. They do deploy there, and with that, they are also in some higher positions. It's a 14
14th,
March, 14 March,
14th March. Okay.
after 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, as we have talked about the foreign ties, foreign affairs. So, what about the foreign policy with China? I think, I mean, the reason early last year or 2 years ago, there was a great
Hmm.
dispute between India and
Right.
China because I think in the news bulletins and I saw that the Chinese government, the Chinese soldiers killed some of the Indian people, and so the friendship between India and China, I think was a little bit disturbed by
True.
that intervention. So, as I know that you are really interested in political matters, it's one of your subjects, I think,
Yeah.
right? You studied. So, what can you say about the relationship right now after that dispute? I think both the governments are. I think there's
Hmm.
some positive signs I've heard after the recently.
Right. Right. Yes. So well, I mean 2021. So we had a dispute with China. It was the uh, near the border, Ladakh border. So in which around 22 Indian soldiers they sacrificed their life, and 44 the Chinese people. I mean, the soldier they also lived their life for the country. So that was the incursion was from the Chinese side. As an Indian, I'm not saying like that. It was proven because what happened, it is the Chinese track record. Whenever they face any kind of domestic issues in their country, internal issues, they always try to attack or somewhere agitate to other countries so that they can calm down the angers of their own people within their own country. So they also did the same thing. And of course after 2 or 3 years we are trying to we have been trying to calm down the issues. Even the situation are not so improved as we can expect, because we can't expect from the China anything, because it's a totally dictatorial government. In India we are democracy, even like you. So yes, so we have been the war with the China in 1962. Maybe you very much aware about that. China did, no, defeated us. But the sentiment against China is very negative in India because of the 1962 war. Even me too, when there was that incident which happened in the Ladakh, I broke my own phone because that was you can't imagine that how much anger was against the China, in India, within India. I don't prefer to Chinese, items, any item, any product. I always try to take Indian items. If I don't get the alternatives of Chinese items, I don't purchase
So,
anything.
so what
So
about
we
the market share in India, Chinese product for Chinese products? So is it, I mean, is the China, or does the China have the access to the Indian market to sell products like the mobile phones? I know big companies like
buy
yeah.
right. Yes, yes, you are absolutely true. I mean, for
So
example,
is there's a political issues, but the market wise, I think both countries are working together.
right? Yes, they are. We are working with the China. It's totally true. But at the same time, we have restricted. I mean, when I say we, it means our government had restricted Chinese companies. We have, removed so many Chinese companies from investing in Indian, companies. Like the educational. I mean the like the what I would say, some like because China is somewhere invests a lot of money in the education sector of India, so we have restricted
Mhm.
that. So we did this, and even now
Education
also with
sector, what sort of, in
yes,
what way? I mean, uh, education means, right, China is China, and they, language wise, I don't think so. They are investing in what sort of areas in education they
mm,
are going to invest. They were trying to invest.
yes. See, there is in India that there is a companies like educational, entrepreneurship. They provide their loans, something like that, like
Uh-huh.
Baiju, which is the very educational platform, which is I'm just forgetting, that company name also. So they provide the, some loans to those companies, and so
Mhm.
government has restricted to the China, investment into Indian education sector. That is the one thing, and of course, China has huge market in India when come to the Vivo phone. So I can understand because those people, those who are very much educated, they are aware about Chinese policies, so they don't prefer to Chinese product like me. But of
Mhm.
course, like the Chinese phone, they are very cost effective. Of course, the
Yeah, yeah.
quality is not so much good. We all know about the Chinese product. How are they? But for like a person who just started around the 10,000 per month, so for him I think the Chinese phone Vivo which we get generally 7,000s, 8,000s, 10,000, so for them I think it's a very usable, so they are purchasing like that. But yes, I would say uh, we have huge trade with the China. It's in the hundreds of the billions, trade with the China. I believe somewhere that very soon, in the long term, not just short term, we will try to stop the totally there is a kind of fillet of the Chinese product in Indian markets when we come to Indian festivals. For example, in the Deepavali, of course, in Holi's, whenever the festival comes, so the Chinese product they are very cheaper than other Indian products. So China tries to attracts a lot of the people to purchase their their products, their things, whatever like electronics things. So yes.
Yeah, but apart from these, political policies with
Mm,
neighboring countries, China has, you know, drastically uh, developed. I mean, they
mm,
have recently they started using introducing like ChatGPT format like
mm.
DeepSeek, I think,
Deep
and
sea. Yes.
so, which I think I've seen some remarks thrown by the American president even. So
Mm,
the competition is going right very close to
yes.
close, head to head, and yeah, for for me, even in Sri Lanka, so they have invested in some areas, and some people believe that their hands joining right hands paved the way to the bankruptcy of Sri Lanka, right?
Mm,
And because
yes.
all the major vast investment projects were in the form of loans, debts, and right. So we had to, like, we were trapped in a loan trap. uh, that is one reason so people accusing of in China, right, for
Mm,
being that kind of influence to other
right.
countries.
True. Yes. And so let me clarify something that when you had the your government was bankrupt that time, it was only India that saved your country. India provided around 2 point something the billions dollars to help to the I mean the Sri Lanka government. Japan also, Japan India helped to Sri Lanka. But what I consider, even this is very much prevalent in the context of the China, that China helps to any countries when it has its own interest, whether they wants, I mean, Chinese wants to your lands, your airports, your any other lands, then they definitely they will do such a things. For example, the prime example is the Pakistan, and they have taken the Pakistan, Gwadar, the ports, and a lot of the things are there. BRI project, which is very much famous in the South Asia.